Filling out USCIS form can feel overwhelming, but don't you worry, I've got you covered. In this step-by-step tutorial, I'll walk you through each section of the petition to make sure you complete it correctly and avoid common mistakes. Whether you're just starting your K-1 visa journey or double checking your form before submission, this guide will help make the process smoother. So grab your form and let's get started. You can download your Form I-129F from the USCIS website for free, and I will also post the link on the description bar in this video. This form is highly recommended to be edited using an Adobe Acrobat, and if you don't have access to internet, you can also contact the USCIS contact center and they will mail you the form. Always check the edition date when downloading your form to make sure that you are getting the most up-to-date form. We will go ahead and skip this part. The top portion is for the USCIS only. Let's start. Part 1, information about you, the petitioner. The petitioner is the U.S. citizen who is requesting immigration benefits for another person. Item number 1, provide your alien registration number if available. If you are a naturalized citizen, you may have an A number, and you can find your A number in your certificate of naturalization. If you are a U.S. citizen by birth or have a U.S. citizen parents, you may not have an A number, and if this question does not apply to you, you can print or type NA. Item number 2, provide your USCIS online account number. You will only have a USCIS online account number if you previously filed a form that has a receipt number that begins with IOE. If this question does not apply to you, again, print or type NA. Item number 3, provide your US Social Security number in this field. Moving on, item number 4, select a box that indicate whether you are filing for your fiancé or your spouse. So we will choose fiancé or K-1 visa. And question number 5 no longer applied to us if you are filing for your spouse. So since we're filing for the fiancé K-1 visa, we will check no on question number 5. Moving on to item number 6A to 6C. Provide your full legal name. This is the petitioner full name. So on our example, we will put Smith John Doe. Let's move on to item number 7A to 7C, other names used. Provide any other names you have used, including your aliases, maiden name, and nicknames. So in our example, our petitioner does not have any other names used. So we will leave it blank, or we can also type or print NA in this part. But if you do have other names used, then you can put your name in here. If you do have other names used and you need extra space, you can always use the part 8 additional information. Moving on to item numbers 8A to 8I. Provide the address where you would like to receive written correspondence regarding your petition. This mailing address is for the petitioner. The line item 8A, in care of name, you can only put a name in here if somebody else is going to receive your mail in your behalf. So for example, if you're using your parents' address, and you can put your parent name that is going to receive your mail. But in our example, our petitioner is not going to use an in care of name since the petitioner is the one receiving the mail. In America, we don't have a province and postal code, so we will just put NA or print NA, or we can also leave it blank. Moving on to line item 8J, the question is your current mailing address the same as your physical address? So our petitioner has the same mailing address with the physical address. So we will check yes in this question. But if you answered no, then you have to provide your physical address in line item number 9A to 9H. Moving on to your physical address, so provide your physical addresses for the last 5 years, whether inside or outside of the United States. So we will only provide your current address in this section if it is different from your mailing address. So since we answered yes earlier on line item 8J that our mailing address is the same with the physical address, we will just leave this line item 9A to 9H blank. The only time that we will enter information is the line item 10A, because we need to provide a date from the time that we resided in our physical address. And the line item 10B, it is automatic that it is going to show present. Next is the physical address 2. You will only fill out this portion if you only resided in your current address for less than 5 years. So in our example, our petitioner lived in his current address for over 5 years. So we will only leave it blank, or we will print or type NA in this portion, since this question does not apply to the petitioner. But if you only resided in your current physical address for less than 5 years, then you need to put your 5 years address in physical address number 2. And if you need the physical address number 3, then you can use the additional information on page 8 of this form. Moving on to the petitioner's employment history. In items number 13 to 20B, provide the names and addresses of your employers, your occupation, and the dates of employment for the jobs you have held over the last 5 years. So in our example, the petitioner only been working for Home Depot since January of last year. So that's only 1 year of employment history. So we need to utilize the employer number 2. Since USCIS required us to provide a 5 years of working history, our petitioner only been in this job for 2 years, 1 year from Home Depot and 1 year from Walmart. So we need to utilize the employer number 3. I'm going to show you on how to fill out the form Part 8 additional information. The only thing that we need to remember is the page number and the part number. So on the Part 8, we need to put our information, the petitioner's information, the A number if applicable, and then we need to put in the page number, the part number, and we will leave the 3C item number blank. Then we need to put employer number 3, then the name of your employer, the address, your occupation, the start date, and the end date. Also, do not forget to sign each pages of Part 8 that you are printing. You can print as many as you can on Part 8 additional information, as long as you put your full name, you sign the document, and your signature date. Moving on to other information. Item number 21, indicate whether you are a male or female. So the petitioner is male. And then moving on to number 22, provide your date of birth in month, date, and year format. And then moving on to item number 23, indicate your current marital status. So we put single. And if you are divorced, you can put divorced as well, or widowed. If you put divorced and widowed, you may need to provide your documentation to support that you are legally free to marry. In our example, our petitioner is single. On line item number 24, 25, and 26, provide the name of the city or town, province or state, and country where you were born. So our petitioner was born in Dallas, and the province or state is Texas, and the country of birth is United States of America. Moving on to information about your parents. So this is the petitioner parents. The parent number 1, we have to put in the father's information. Provide a full legal name of your father's information, the date of birth, the places of birth, and current cities, town, villages, and countries of residence. I also was asked about the deceased parent. I'll provide you an example regarding the deceased parent. So in our example, the father's last name is Smith, and then the first name is John, and the middle name is Michael. And the date of birth is January 1945. And then it's male. And then we need to provide the country of birth, which is the United States of America. For example, if your father is deceased, then you can put, this is for the residence, so we have to put deceased in case that your father is deceased. So that's how you fill it out. You need to make sure to put still the country of birth, but the residence, you can just put deceased on the father's information. In our case, our father is not deceased, so we will put the city here, which is Dallas, and then the country of residence is United States. Moving on to parent number 2, we will fill out the information for the full legal name, the date of birth, the gender, the country of birth, the city and town or village of residence, and the country of residence. This is for the line item number 32A until the line item 36B. Moving on to item number 37, indicate whether you have been previously married. If you answered yes, provide the full names of each previous spouse and the date that each marriage ended in this section. So in our example, our petitioner never been married before, so we will put no, and we will just leave this portion blank. But if you answered yes, then you need to provide your spouse information. If you need additional information, you need to use the Part 8 additional information. So I'll leave this blank in that portion since that doesn't apply to us. Moving on to your citizenship information. On line item 48 to 40C, select the box that describes how you obtained your U.S. citizenship. So I was asked by one of the followers. She said that the petitioner was born in the United States and at the same time have a U.S. citizen parent. So this specific question only allow us to select one box. So it's up to you which one would you choose. But for our example, we will choose the birth in the United States. On line item number 41, since the petitioner was born in the United States, then this number 41 question no longer applied to us. So we will select no in this part. If you answered yes to item number 41, you need to complete the item number 42A to 42C. In our case, since this does not apply to us, then we will just leave it blank or we have to print or put NA. Moving on to item number 43 to 47. Indicate whether you have ever filed another Form I-129F for any other spouse or fiancé. If you respond yes, provide that person's full name and the person's A number if any. Provide a date you filed the petition and the final action taken, for example, petition approved, denied, revoked, or withdrawn. If you have filed for more than one previous spouse or fiancé, use the Part 8 additional information to respond to these questions for each beneficiary. So in our example, our petitioner never filed Form I-129F for any other beneficiary. So we will answer no to this question number 43. And in our question number 44 to 46, we will just leave it blank because our system is not allowing us or not letting us to print or type NA. On number 47, it allows us to print or type NA, so we must do so. Moving on to item number 48 to 49B, indicate whether you have any children under 18 years of age. If you have answered yes, provide the age for each of your children under 18 years of age. If you need extra space to complete this section, use the space provided in Part 8 additional information. So for our example, our petitioner does not have children under 18 years of age. So we will answer no in this question number 48, and we will leave the 49A and 49B blank, or if your system allows you to put NA or print or type NA. So for example, if you have 3 children that is under age of 18, what you need to do on part number 8, you just have to take note of the page number, which is page number 4. And this is still part 1. So page 4, part 1, and then you have to enter the item number 49. So page 4, part 1, item number 49, and you just have to put the age of your child that is under 18 years of age. Next is item number 50A to 51B. Provide all of the U.S. states and foreign countries in which you have resided since you reach 18 years of age. If you need extra space to complete this section, use the space provided in Part 8 additional information. So in our case, our petitioner only lived in Texas and also United States of America. And on the residence too, we will our fiance also lived in Florida before, so we will choose Florida, and still the country is United States of America. Moving on to part 2, information about your beneficiary. So on line item number 1A to 1C, provide your beneficiary's full legal name. So our beneficiary's last name is Santos, and the first name is Jane. The middle name is Cruz. So if your beneficiary ever been to United States before, your beneficiary may have an A number and the social security number. So in our example, our beneficiary never been to the United States. So we will just print or type NA in the A number section and the social security. Provide your beneficiary date of birth in a month, date, and year format. For example, our beneficiary was born on the 8th of April, 1988. Then on line item number 5, indicate your beneficiary gender, if a male or a female. So our beneficiary is a female. And on line item number 6, indicate if your beneficiary is single, divorced, or widowed. The reason why I skipped the married part, because if your beneficiary is married, then your beneficiary and you are not qualified to apply for a fiancé visa. Provide your beneficiary's city, town, village of birth. So your beneficiary was born in Bacolod, which is the city, and then we provide the country, which is Philippines. Next is the nationality. It's Filipino, but I'll put Philippines here because most of the Americans doesn't actually know the Filipino citizen. They just always call it Philippines. But this is just for a country of citizenship or nationality. So I'll just put Philippines in here. Moving on to items number 10A to 10C. Provide any other names your beneficiary may have used, including her aliases, maiden name, and nicknames. If you need extra space to complete this section, use the space provided in Part 8 additional information. In our example, our beneficiary never used any other names, so we will just leave blank, or we put or print or type NAN line item 10A to 10C. Let's move on to your beneficiary's mailing address in line item number 11A to 11I. Provide your beneficiary's current mailing address. On line item 11A, in care of name, if your beneficiary is from the Philippines, most of the time they are living with their parents, you can put their parent name under the in care of name to receive the mail in your beneficiary's behalf. So we will fill out the information for the beneficiary's mailing address. And in the Philippines, they don't have a zip code. So we will just print or type NA under the zip code. They do have a province, so you can fill out the province part and the postal code. So the Philippines has a postal code of each city, and it's just similar to zip code, but we call it postal code in the Philippines. Moving on to your beneficiary's address history in line items number 12A to 15B. Provide the addresses for the places your beneficiary has resided over the last 5 years. So we will put in the current physical address in line item 12A until the line item 13B. So in our example, the beneficiary resided in her physical address since the day that she was born. So that's already over 5 years. So we will just put NA on physical address number 2 since this does not apply to us. Next is your beneficiary's employment history in items number 16 to 23B. Provide the names and addresses of your beneficiary's employers, occupations, and the dates of employment for the jobs your beneficiary has held over the last 5 years. Since our beneficiary worked in her current employer for over 5 years, on the employer number 2, we will just type or print NA on those fields since this does not apply to the beneficiary because USCIS only required to provide a 5 years of employment history. But if you needed to fill out this field, then you can put your second employer, and you can also utilize the Part 8 additional information for the third employer. Let's move on to the information about your beneficiary's parents in items number 24A to 33B. Provide each of your beneficiary's parents' full names, dates of birth, places of birth, and current cities and countries of residence. Moving on to line item number 34 to 36, indicate whether your beneficiary has ever been previously married. So on line item number 34, our beneficiary never been married, so we will answer no to this part. And if you answered yes, then you have to provide the name of your beneficiary's previous spouse on line item number 35A to 36. We will leave it blank in our case since this does not apply to us. On line item number 37, has your beneficiary ever been in the United States? Our answer is no since our beneficiary never been to the United States. Moving on. So I have received a lot of questions about this part. If your beneficiary is currently in the United States, complete item numbers 38A to 38H. So since they mentioned in here that if your beneficiary is currently in the United States, then you have to fill out this portion on line item number 38A and 38H. Since our beneficiary is not currently in the United States, then we will not gonna put any information in here. For example, on the passport number, most of the beneficiary, I've noticed that they are putting their passport number in this portion. But since our beneficiary is not in the United States currently, we will just put NA on all of these fields. Moving on to item number 39 to 44H, indicate whether your beneficiary has any children. In this portion, this is very crucial. Regardless of the age of the children, you need to put all their information in here. So for those children that is under the 21 and it's unmarried, automatically the K2 visa is available for them. You don't need to file for a separate petition and you don't need to pay extra to file for the K2 visa. It is automatically granted for the child of the beneficiary if they are under the age of 21 and if they are unmarried. If the child does not reside with your beneficiary, provide the child's physical address in line item 44A to 44H, otherwise leave it blank. Moving on to line item number 45A to 46, provide the address and daytime telephone number where your beneficiary intends to live in the United States when he or she arrives. So we will use the petitioner's address in this 45A to 45D, and we will also use the petitioner's daytime telephone number on line item number 46. Moving on to line item number 47A to 48, provide the address and daytime telephone number where your beneficiary currently resides abroad. Next, item numbers 49A to 50F. If your beneficiary's native alphabet does not use Roman letters, provide his or her name and physical address abroad in the native alphabet. Otherwise, skip the next question. So we will skip this part since our beneficiary's name and physical address is in Roman letters. Moving on to item number 51 to 52. Indicate whether you and your fiancé or beneficiary have a familial relationship, and if so, describe the nature and degree of relationship. For example, second cousins, maternal aunt or uncle. Select NA if the beneficiary is also your spouse. So, in our example, the beneficiary is not a spouse of the petitioner. Also, the beneficiary is not a related to the petitioner. So we will check the box no. And on question number 52, we will print or type NA since this does not apply to the petitioner and the beneficiary. Moving on to item number 53 to 54. Indicate whether you and your fiancé have seen each other in person during the 2-year period immediately before to filing your petition. Select NA if the beneficiary is your spouse. So we will put or check the box yes since we have met in person within 2 years before we will file this application. So if you answered yes, then we need to describe the circumstances of the in-person meeting in item number 54. We will just summarize it to make sure that this will fit in this section. But if it won't fit in this section, we can utilize the Part 8 additional information, which I will be showing you on how to utilize the Part 8 in the circumstances of meeting. We will take note the page number, the part number, and the item number so that we can use that on Part 8 additional information. If this example is too fast, you can follow along by pausing and rewatch the video. Moving on to item number 55 to 61. Indicate whether you met your beneficiary through the service of an IMB or international marriage broker. If you respond yes, provide the IMB's name, organization name, website, mailing address, and daytime telephone number. In most cases, petitioner did not met their beneficiary through IMB. If you've met on an online dating site, you don't actually need to fill out this information. So we will just print or type NA in this part, which is on item number 55 through 61. Moving on to item number 62A to 62B. Provide the city or town and country of the U.S. Embassy or U.S. Consulate where your beneficiary will apply for his or her visa. In most cases, I've seen Filipinos that are currently residing outside of the Philippines. For example, they are residing in Hong Kong or in Singapore when they are applying for a K1 visa. Even they submitted this application and they put Manila, Philippines for their visa interview. In most cases, their application are still forwarded to the closest U.S. embassy in their current residence, which is in Singapore or Hong Kong, for example. But you don't have to worry because you can always request for a transfer of your visa interview to Manila, Philippines. We are finally in part 3. Just hang in there, we're almost done. So moving on in part 3, other information. Item numbers 1 to 3 indicate whether you have ever been the subject of a temporary or permanent protection order or restraining order, either civil or criminal. So in our example, the petitioner does not have any criminal records at all. So we will answer this question very carefully, and if I hope that you can follow along. If you have some criminal records, I highly recommend to seek legal assistance. So in this example that I am showing you, our petitioner does not have any criminal records, but we will still read each question carefully and answer it with all honesty. I would like to emphasize with you all that in this part it is very crucial because this is the part where most of the petitioner forgot to answer. On line item 3A to 3C, there should be no check mark on this line item if you don't have any criminal record. And in line item 4A, this is where most of the petitioner forgot to answer, because on 3A to C, they leave it blank, but on 4A, they also left it blank. On 4A, you need to answer no if you don't have any criminal record. Have you ever been arrested, cited, charged, indicted, convicted, fined, or imprisoned? Then you answered no if you don't have any criminal record in this part. Don't leave it blank. In 4B, since we answered no, then of course we leave it blank, or you can type or print NA in that part. Also, in multiple filer waiver, most of the time the people or the followers that I have on Facebook and on YouTube, they don't know how to answer this part. Most of the time, if you are not a multiple filer, or if you don't have a prior permanent restraining order, you have to check the box on 5D, which does not apply to you or not applicable, and the beneficiary is not your spouse, or you are not a multiple filer. So most of the time they forgot, or they don't know how to answer that part. Part 4, biographic information. This information is for the petitioner. Select the boxes that best describe your ethnicity and race. Item number 3, select the values that best match your height in feet and inches. For example, if you are 5 feet and 9 inches, select 5 for feet and 9 for inches. Do not enter your height in meters or centimeters. Item number 4, enter your weight in pounds. If you do not know your weight, or need to enter a weight under 30 pounds or over 699 pounds, enter 000. Do not enter your weight in kilograms. Item number 5, select the box that best describes the color of your eyes. Item number 6, select the box that best describes the color of your hair. We are now in part number 5. Select the appropriate box to indicate whether you read this petition yourself, or whether you had an interpreter assist you. If someone assisted you in completing the petition, select the box indicating that you used a preparer. Further, you must sign and date your petition and provide your daytime telephone number, mobile telephone number if any, and email address. Every petition must contain the signature of the petitioner. A stamp or typewritten name in place of a signature is not acceptable. In this example, the petitioner is the one filling out the form and did not use an interpreter or a preparer. So we will just leave the information blank, or print or type NA on preparer's information or interpreter's information. So there you have it, guys. Congratulations, you have successfully completed filling out the Form I-129F petition for Alien Fiancé. Disclaimer, guys, this is not legal advice. The information I am sharing is based on my experience and instructions provided by the USCIS. And for additional information, before sending your package to USCIS, make sure that all the forms you have completed are the current acceptable edition. Don't forget to sign your form. Typed, stamped, or electronic signature is not acceptable for Form I-129F. Do not use highlighters, correction fluid, or correction tape. If you handwrite your answers, use black ink. All forms and supporting documents must be submitted in a single-sided standard 8.5 by 11 letter sized pages. If you have any question, you can comment down on the description bar. I'll try to answer as much as I can. And if I don't know the answer, I will also let you know. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped you in filling out this form. If you do, please consider like or share it to your friends that is sharing the same journey with you. I'll see you on my next video. Thank you and be safe.